Good morning. This is Lieutenant Colonel McCormick, and we're going to try something a little bit different this week. I'll let you know I'm rocking my Raider shirt. You can see right here, still proud of my Raider stuff. So I am ready to go. I'm going to show you a presentation, and we're going to work a little bit about parachuting. All right, just another skill set you can learn in the military, depending on the job that you do. I'm going to tell you about my experience as a paratrooper in the Army. So let's go ahead and begin with this. In the lesson, when I'm in class, I like to go around the room and talk to everybody about what superpower would they like to have. And of course, you go around the room, people want speed and strength and all these kinds of things. And so I just look at this picture here, had to look up a couple of them because I'm not big into all the comic book stuff. I know most of them, but I wrote some names down. If I bring your name up, it's because you've been doing all your assignments. People I'm talking about here on their game, keeping up in Google Classroom. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look at the first one. Let's look at, let's just pick Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman on here. I know she's got some movies coming, a new movie coming out here. And I said, number one choice, Wonder Woman in JRTC cadet areas, because she is the first one to get all of her assignments done. First one to get it done, staying on her game, Wonder Woman. Of course, another Wonder Woman in JRTC would have to be Vasquez, right? Because she stays on top of everything. She got a lot of things going on, plays about every sport at Hunt High School. And she definitely would be our Wonder Woman, winning some medals at Bettingfield Challenge for tops and push-ups and setups. And then we have one more I might consider Wonder Woman who's doing all of her work too, because she might think she's Wonder Woman, Cadet Hendricks there in first block. Of course, I know she's working at Chick-fil-A during this time. She's staying on her game as well. So I might pick her for Wonder Woman. The guy up in the top left, I think it's like John James, something like that. He's a shapeshifter. So I said, well, who would be a shapeshifter? I said, well, how about Ashley Perez? She's kind of quiet sometimes, but I think she might get a kick out of being a shapeshifter, changing into things. And Miss Vereen the same way, right? She might get a kick out of changing things. But one I really thought about be kind of a shapeshifter would be Dagan Barnes, because I'll give you a second. If Dagan Barnes could shapeshift into anything, what would it be? I'll give you a second to think about it. It would be an American muscle car if he was a shapeshifter. Then we look at Hawk Girl. Now, Hawk Girl kind of scares me a little bit. Had to look it up what Hawk Girls are all about. It said, when I looked it up, that she had a special mace that generated electrical currents, and she was very effective against magic. So I said, well, who in the world that made me think of there? And I said, well, I thought about Cassandra Coleman there in second block. Wouldn't want to mess with her as a Hawk Girl. I wouldn't want to mess around with Miss Jackson in the fourth block because she could handle her business. If she had some mace, she could be dangerous. This is a special mace that generates electrical current. And then, of course, somebody who always keeps me on my game, keeps me straight, and lets me know what's going on, Cadet Frere there in second period. Okay, who else we got there? We got the Green Lantern, And who I came up with this would be Cadet Harris in second block, because the Green Lantern can use his electromagnetic energy such as gravity, heat, light, and a powerful blast, to wreak havoc out there. So with Harris there, he might need a powerful blast to wake him up sometimes. He seems kind of sleepy when he's working hard there. All right, now if we look at the next one on here, who we got? We got the Flash. The first one that popped in my mind there, who seems like he loves to run, he's on track, and he plays football, and all that, was Cadet Byram there from fourth block. Always giving 100%. He loves to sprint and those kinds of things. So he'd be the Flash for us. Now we come down and we're looking at Batman. Batman, you have to be a little smart here, right? Because you got to create some things, and you just don't have real superpowers. You got to create those things. So I was thinking Cadet Davis and Cadet Lamond. Lamond's working towards the Eagle Scout. Going to be smart. And Davis, he wants to do some special operations things, maybe in the military. So he might, be smart about what he's doing there as well to build some things to help him be more powerful. And the last and not least, there's old Superman right in the middle. And Superman, of course, number one came to mind was Cadet Lofton, because, he was second team All-State, leading tackler in football, indoor track, outdoor track, does it all there. So he might be our Superman coming through there, one of them. But then our number one Superman, of course, is going to be old Cadet Denton, because he's our Cadet Corps commander, doing an outstanding job this year. And he's working to become an Army officer right now, working on his college selections to get that done in college ROTC. And what do you do if you're in the military? Is you are helping keep the world safe. So he would definitely be a Superman. All right, well, let's move on forward there a little bit. And from the last lesson, we talked about Armen Firman, if you remember. He was a Moor, and he is credited with being the first human to attempt to fly where it's documented. And a Moor is somebody from North Africa, and they had conquered up in Spain. If you ever read the Shakespearean play Othello, he was a Moor coming through there. Now, he may have been trying to impress the ladies a little bit, this fellow here, Armen Firman, because he put on a huge cloak, which is like a jacket, put that on and jumped from a tower, high, tall tower in Spain, and he hoped that the cloak would act like a parachute or maybe the wings of a bat and slow his descent as he fell to the ground. Of course, it didn't work for him, and he crashed and burned, and he died. And it was documented in history, the first one to try to fly. Again, probably trying to impress the ladies out there a little bit. Not a good idea. Okay, so he fell to his death. Now, when we talk about Armen Firman, again, he was described, some people say maybe like a parachute jump. And what is a parachute? Of course, it says from our book, just a device that's going to slow your fall, and you can land safely from any high point and that kind of thing. So let's talk about being a paratrooper a little bit. Now, this is, I was back in the Army in the 1980s. So right here, there used to be posters around Fort Bragg, because you go to jump school at Fort Benning, but then most paratroopers, the majority are at Fort Bragg, not all, but a lot of them are at Fort Bragg. And they used to call it the last step to becoming a man, was jumping out the aircraft door. And of course, right here is a picture of me back in when I was in jump school, roster number 601. And some things to look at on here, on this, in this mock-up, in this picture, these right here that I'm pointing at, these are the cape welds, and they're going to release. The parachute is on your back. And when you land, I'm talking about that in a little bit, you pull at least one of these to release the parachute so it can't catch wind on the ground and drag you. And this right here, my friends, is your reserve parachute. If the chute on the back does not work, this parachute here is what you'll use. You'll pull this handle, you'll pull it out, and that'll deploy another parachute. And they train you in jump school to say, how much time do you got to deploy the reserve? If everything goes wrong, you got the rest of your life. Because if you don't pull it properly, you're going to hit the ground full speed. So anyway, they're going to train you up, and I really didn't see any parachute malfunctions. And I had about 35 jumps in the military. All right. So this again was jump school, U.S. Army Airborne School in 1983. 1983, I was roster number 601. There's about 500 people going through my jump school class. And at that time, they were just getting ready to let a few females come to jump school. So now it's wide open. Females want to be paratroopers. They surely can do it. All right, so how about some video images here just a little bit? Let me see what I got. I just pulled some off. It's kind of some, maybe I can't remember what it was right now, but some images, just some GIF files, animated, just to have a little fun with it. Let's see if it worked or not. Let's see here. It may take a second to load. Let's see if it pops up. All right, it's taking just a second. Just be patient. All right, this is showing the guys coming out of the airplane. And when you jump, the way, there's static line jumping and there's free fall jumping. And mass attacks, like the 82nd Airborne, and the training I went to was for mass jumping, which is with a static line. And of course, special operations do jump from the static line too, but they can also do halo, which is high altitude, low opening, kind of free fall kind of thing. But this is from kind of more like from a World War II generation aircraft. You're coming out the door, and you can see the bags as the guys jump out the door. The bag is pulled away from the parachute and stays banging against the side of the aircraft. That's what the static line does. It's on a cable. It's hooked on there, and as it pulls away to the bottom, it rips the cover off the parachute and the canvas cover off, and then the parachute deploys. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go through it. All right. Let's get back in these slides there a little bit. All right, so we got let me talk to you a little bit about what you do in the airplane. This is me at Fort Benning. So when I was in jump school, I had some friends come down, took some pictures. I'm not sure if it's exactly me or not because they were on the ground when I was in jump week. When you go to jump school, you have 3 weeks of training. The first week is ground school. You're doing a lot of PT. We ran from Georgia to Alabama. I can't remember, 8 miles, 12 miles, probably more like 8 miles then. but you had to do a lot of running, get your legs built up, a lot of push-ups. The push-ups you do are supposed to build your lat muscles there, so you can, when you parachute land, you'll see in a little bit, you're going to collapse on the side and roll, and you're going to, of course, going to hit that lat muscle. So they're trying to develop that. They have you doing push-ups all the time for that. And ground school lasts for a week, and you also use on something called a swing land trainer. You're hanging on to like a trapeze kind of thing, slide down a cable, which is, I don't know, maybe 10 feet off of the ground, the sawdust pit, and you practice doing your parachute landing fall. And you got to get so many goes in a row, or you can get recycled. And the issue that I had going through this training was I broke my ankle in basic training, a hairline fracture. I didn't know it until towards the end, and I was running and count people in the chow hall, and it's snowing, and my foot slipped on a step and banged, and it swelled up a little bit. But I finished. I just wrapped it up. I didn't think it was broken, and nothing like that. When I got to my school, AIT, it swelled up real bad on the bus ride there, because I was wearing regular shoes, not boots, and they had to put a cast on it. And I had the cast on almost the whole AIT, so I wasn't doing any PT. So when I got to jump school, I had to really do a lot of PT to get back in shape and all this kind of thing. And I was having a little trouble. First couple of times I did the swing landing trainer because I was favoring that ankle was a little bit sore. Finally, just had to get over it, let it twist, and it was fine through there. So that's week number 1. Week number 2 is Tower Week. And I have some pictures. Let me see something here if I can. Some pictures from Fort Benning. So when you go to Tower Week, if you can see right here, this is the 39-foot tower. And they hook you up and top coming out the door properly, out the aircraft door, getting into a tuck position, counting 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. Then when you say 4, you come up, you check your canopy to make sure it's all okay. They practice you doing that over and over again, that you're counting properly, because at about 3, the chute will open. If it doesn't open at 4, that's when you got to start worrying about that reserve, pulling that reserve parachute. But again, I never saw anybody have to pull a reserve. Some did because they panicked in training, but I never saw anybody that needed to. The people that rigged parachutes said the parachute, you could jump out of a airplane with a parachute in a plastic like trash bag and take the bag off and it'd catch air. So anyway, I never saw anybody have any problem. I never had any problem. But when you check your canopy, if some lines are tangled above the parachute, so it's not fully inflated, you just kind of stretch them out and move around, and they teach you how to make that happen. Okay, so that's the in Tower Week, you're doing that. And the other thing you're doing in Tower Week, if you can see, let me see if we have a best picture over here. If you can see here, this is a 250-foot tower, and they take you up on the ground. They hook you up and they lift you up in the parachute. Then they release the parachute, and they're giving you orders how to guide the parachute back to the ground 250 feet. Now, when I was in jump school, we had an issue that it was a short week. It was a 4-day week for some reason. There was some kind of holiday. And the days we went to the 250-foot tower, it was high winds. An instructor got up, and he came off of the tower, and it blew him on to the warning track, which was towards the warning track, which was concrete. There's a big grassy area, but if the winds are too high, the parachute, I'm going to tell you how that works a little bit in a minute, but carry you over where it could be a dangerous place to land. So we weren't able to go up on the tower. So we had to, practice, do some more PT, do some other things and get ready. The third week's time, jump out of the airplane. That's jump week, and you make 5 jumps when you are in jump week, and then you earn your jump wings. Let's go back and talk about that a little bit here. Okay, so this is jump week. Put this thing. When you're in the aircraft, there's a lot of you sitting in the aircraft, and there's the left side and the right side. And on both sides, there's inside row seats and outside row seats. And they take you up in a plane, and they're just going to circle around. They got to fly a little distance. The jump master, in case later on when you're really jumping, not just at Fort Benning, but you're going on a mission, you might be in a plane for several hours before you jump. So the jump master first thing they'll say is when they get 6 minutes to the drop zone, the pilot on the radio will call back to the jump master, or really to the load master from the Air Force, and say 6 minutes to the drop zone. And when you're in the jump master reel, 6 minutes, and everybody's like this, rocking 6 minutes, 6 minutes, 6 minutes to wake everybody up. So now you know it's almost time to get there. As you get a little closer to the drop zone, at the door where you're going to go out, there's a green light and a red light, and the pilot's controlling that, and he's got it red. But when he gets after 6 minutes, the jump master is going to say, outboard personnel, stand up. On the outboard, you stand up. He's going to say like this, hook up, so you can have hand signals too. Hook up. You're going to unhook the guy in front of you and snap their static line on the cable on the inside of the aircraft. And then you're going to say, check equipment. You're going to look at your stuff on the front, and the guy behind you is going to check to make sure nothing's twisted. Remember that static line's kind of, I guess, S-shaped down the back of your canvas bag over the parachute, and that's what's going to pull the bag away to deploy your parachute when you jump out the door. So once that's all okay, you want to say, move forward. The first guy is going to be standing in the door, right, looking out. The jump master is looking at the red and green light. When the pilot's flying, usually there's some markings on the ground to know the drop zone, because the drop zone, the plane's moving quick. You may only have 20 seconds for everybody to get out on this pass. So when that light turns green, smack that first guy in the back and say, go, and kind of behind there, go. And everybody else is you're shuffling. You don't want to cross your feet so nobody trips. You're kind of shuffling up, pushing as fast as you can go. Fast as you can go, because you go out the door, you are right behind the guy in front of you. But you can see in the picture here, because you're falling free for the first few seconds, you get a little distance between you. So you're out the door. So let's look a little bit more about that. All right, so now you're out the door and you're in the air. This is jump school. Now, if you're doing a combat jump, there might be hundreds and hundreds of people in the sky. So they're going to train you what you need to do if there's an issue up there. Number one, come out, you got your hands on the reserve, not pulling, but your hands in position. You don't shut your eyes, you duck your head, you kind of get in a pike position. 1001, 1002, 1003. Then you should feel the pull, but after four, you need to take corrective action. Pull the reserve again. Never saw anybody need to do it. But then you're going to check your canopy, make sure it's all okay. When the canopy is okay, then you start looking around. And these are the rules of the air. If you were going to run into somebody, they're going to call it slip right, which means turn right. And this particular parachute here, I'll take a look at which one it is when we get in some other pictures. When I was in, there was two types. One where you grabbed some of the risers, like the ropes going up, and you pulled them to kind of tuck the parachute a little bit and force the air out the back, and you could turn by pulling part of the parachute. The one that I used most in the Army had toggles on it, and you could pull it, and if you pulled left, it would spin to the left. And you're going to see on the back of the parachute, there's an opening that forces air out and gives you a little bit of thrust. So if I'm coming towards somebody, like in the camera here, I'm coming towards you, and we're going to crash into each other. We don't want to do it because you get tangled in each other's lines and the parachutes collapse. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull my right down. I'm going to turn right and go this way, and you're going to go the opposite way. Okay. If you can't help it, let's say you're going to run into somebody's lines, not into them, the paratrooper with the lines above, then what you're going to do is you're going to spread eagle and bounce off the lines so you don't get tangled up in those lines there. All right, because they're coming down, just going to spread eagle and bounce into them. If you're going to hit somebody's canopy, the parachute material or something like that, again, never had to do it myself, but they told you just kind of like run off of it, get off of it as quick as possible. Because if the parachute does collapse a little bit, just for a second, it'll just catch air again and come back down. And something else kind of weird, it did happen to me. If somebody comes right under you real close, they'll what they call steal your air. Heat rises and things like that, and that's what's slowing you coming down. And if somebody comes below you, they'll take that draft, and you'll drop kind of a little jerk, but then the parachute will catch yet again there. Okay, so that's a little bit about what you're doing in the air, and what you're also doing in the air is looking where to land. So you get out, and you're looking to see if sometimes they have a day jump, particularly they have smoke popped on the landing zone to let you know which way the wind's blowing and where to try to guide your parachute to, if at all possible, to get over there. And so they got some markings down there to try to get you close together so your unit is together and ready to do the mission you got to do once you get on the ground. Okay, here's a little quote for you. We like these quotes of the day, now quote of the week. Minds are like parachutes. they only work when they're open. You know, got to stay open-minded, try different things, learn more about the world and see what it's about before you make judgments. Keep an open mind. Okay, this is somebody coming down. Again, I'm not sure if it's me or not, but coming down, you can see in the distance the treetop. That's about 100 feet. When you get to treetop level, you need to really prepare to land. So you've already turned towards the smoke, wherever it is. And see in the back of the parachute up here, in the back of the parachute right there, opening, that's what I was talking about. When the air goes up inside the parachute, it's looking for a way out, and it'll go out the back way. And that little area that's cut out. And that will give you 10 miles an hour of thrust, momentum there. So what you need to do when you're coming down, look for that smoke and turn into the wind. If there's a wind, perfect would be 10 mile an hour wind, and you turn into it, you'll land just real gently, straight down. If you let the parachute do what it wants to do, it will turn with the wind, and you'll be going, if the parachute gives you 10 miles an hour thrust from the hole and the wind's 10 miles an hour, you will be going 20 miles an hour when you hit the ground. Okay. And that did happen to me one time because I had a rucksack. You have to put your weapon in rucksack when you're jumping on the side of you. And my rucksack, you tie it, and there's probably a 15-foot line. You let it out so it hangs below you, so it hits the ground first. And my would not come loose on one jump at Fort Bragg. And so I was working with that. I didn't get a turn in the wind, and I hit the ground going pretty fast. But if you do, parachute landing fall properly, I didn't get hurt or anything, but it's just I couldn't turn in the wind like I had been trained to do because I was messing with the parachute, with the rucksack that was tied on there. Okay, so treetop level, when you're getting down there, you're going to put your feet and knees together, kind of bend them a little bit, because I have Egyptian jump wings too. I jumped in Egypt with their special forces guys in like 1985, something like that. And when I was in Egypt, a lot of the Egyptian soldiers got injured because they didn't, I didn't see them, but I saw the after effect, twisted ankles, legs hurt, because they weren't as trained as well as Americans were, and they did not, bend their feet, not their feet, but their legs a little bit to kind of give them kind of like a shock absorber when they hit the ground. Okay, so now you can see it over here, the paratrooper is almost on the ground. There's the back of the hole of the parachute, feet and knees together, not reaching for the ground. If you start putting your toes and reaching, you'll straighten them out, and you can get injured then. Over here, you see a parachute that's down already, a paratrooper that's down. That's why this person needs to pull those cape wells over here, at least one, to release one side of the parachute, because if it is a windy day, it'll catch the wind and drag you. When I was in the Army, not in my unit, but 82nd Airborne guys were out in California, and it was too windy to jump, but they had big ego, the jump master. They joke around and say, you drop a helmet. If it doesn't blow, we're going to jump. And they jumped in the desert somewhere, and rocks and big boulders in the desert. And it was a real windy day, and a couple guys got drug into to rocks because it was unsafe. So you're not going to jump if it's unsafe, particularly for training. And in combat, you're going to try to look for the best window to do it. But definitely in training, you're not going to jump in that dangerous situation there. Another guy, when we talk about in the military and in class, there's rules for a reason. Another fellow in the Army is a lot about going, I guess you want to say, patch collection. Like I had airborne patch, I had jump wings, I had a Recondo badge, I had Egyptian jump wings. You're trying to do different schools, different things to earn patches. And people like to have the foreign badges, like I had the Egyptian jump wings. And this guy was up in Canada with the Canadians jumping, and it was snowing. So he wore gloves. They tell you not to wear gloves, because you lose your dexterity. And when he got down, and he could not release the cape well because the gloves were in the way, and he got drugged into a tree stump, and messed his face. It didn't kill him or anything, but messed his face up a little bit. Had to have some surgeries and such. So, when there's rules for a reason. If you don't know what the reason is, always ask. And JRTC for sure, ask us and we'll explain the rules. But, rules for a reason. And if there's something changed, we need to change rules, we can do that. Let's just figure it out. Okay, let's look at, here's some fun videos. Let's see if it takes a second to get to them here. Okay. Well, I might take a second. Well, here's a guy coming down. This is not from my time. So that's pretty straight down, but hitting pretty hard there, coming through. But he's trying to do a parachute landing fall. See his legs flip over. You're going to go to your side and legs flip over. Then you get up. and you want to run, one thing they train you to do is run around the parachute and collapse the parachute. If it's in combat, you're going to bury the parachute. If it's in training, you are going to stuff it in the bag and bring it with you off the drop zone coming through there. All right, there's one. Let me look at one more here. All right, this is for special operations here. Let's see if this one works or not. Maybe the link. Under control. All right, not working. I had a guy free falling, like coming into the window there for you. Again, I didn't do free fall jumping. When I was in the Army, I only did a 3-year tour, so I had to stay in to get more training. I was in a special forces unit, but to go to the qualification course, you had to be an E5 sergeant, which I was at the end, but I would have had to re-enlisted. And that's when I decided to go in back and finish college and become an officer. But here the guys running off the zone here. When you're at Fort Benning, you don't walk anywhere. There's no walking allowed. You run everywhere. So you see they've packed the parachutes, put them in the bags, which are you jump with the bag stowed away, but then you put the parachute and you run off and you come back over there to the side and turn the parachute in, go load up the vehicles and follow whatever orders you got. Another jump for the day. If you've done number 5, you come off and get your blood wings. What your blood wings are, don't know if they still do it or not. Like your name tag or your rank, at those little prongs in the back. They put your wings on you and then they pop it into your chest, and everybody was proud to get that kind of thing. That's just a tradition. Not sure if they still do it or not, but that's your wings, your airborne wings there. All right, so the song they talk about when talking in the aircraft was stand up, hook up, and shuffle to the door. Jump right out and count to 4. And there's a Jody that kind of goes with that, but that's a little bit about jump school. So now let me show you some pictures of me before and after jump school. All right. Now look at this guy. This is before. Now, man, see how tough things were back in my day. Look at that sorry looking little tree and a little presents in there. That was, shared between me and my brother. And we're happy to get them. But now you see that picture? I'm ready for the Army now. I got a few things. Am I doing anything wrong? Can you tell me in that position, am I doing anything wrong? Look at it for a little bit. The right answer would be, no, he ain't doing nothing wrong. Look at that guy. He's a little kid, man. He's trying pretty hard there. But what we know now about drill and stuff like that, I can see a few things. Saluting with the wrong hand. All right? I don't have my middle finger towards the outside edge of my eyebrow, or when you're wearing a hat or a helmet, touching the brim of the hat. I got my rifle, by regulation, when you stand at attention with a rifle, it should be exactly the butt of the rifle. You want to be right next to your foot. My feet heels aren't together, and one's a little bit forward and out at a 45-degree angle. And my top button on my uniform there. If you're wearing, just like when you're open collar on your blues, or when you're wearing ABUs, you don't button up that top collar, like that when you wear the uniform. So the right answer would be, he's doing it just right, man. He's only like 5 years old. Get a fella break, maybe 4. I don't know how old it was, but I thought looking, pretty sharp there, pretty sharp. And then here's after. This is Sergeant McCormick. As I'm, coming out of the Army. I can't remember what time this was made there. I don't remember exactly, but coming towards the end time of my Army career there, Sergeant McCormick, before I decided to go back to college or ROTC. So again, all these things we talked to you all about the military educational benefits, I used them all. When I was in the Army, I went to Campbell University classes right there on Fort Bragg. They brought instructors down. I took about 6 classes. I already had an associate's degree from community college, so I did get my GI Bill while I was in. And when I decided to get out and go to ROTC to continue my military career, I ended up earning a scholarship, which was very helpful. And my GI Bill just was money that came to me to help me pay living expenses. And I didn't have to work as much while I was in college. I did work on breaks and stuff like that, temporary jobs, but I didn't work all the time for my last couple of years. I was busy in the ROTC unit and I could focus on my studies and that kind of thing. And then when I got in the Air Force, I used tuition assistance. Another thing you hear about from the Guard, Reserve, and active duty. And I got a full master's degree, fully paid for by the Air Force. Didn't cost me a dime. Then when I retired, I had another educational benefit, the post 9/11 GI Bill, and I got a second master's while I was there at Hunt. doing that. And nowadays, if it had been that situation, if I'd have been in a little bit longer, a little bit later, I could have given that GI Bill, that second one, to somebody in my family. Like my daughter went to Chapel Hill, my son's going to ECU. Could have just given the benefits to them because I didn't need them. I'm kind of going through there, because I already had one master's degree, didn't really need the second one. I was just trying to use the benefits coming through there. Okay. Let's see what we got next there. So, no, I normally in class, I get right back to the lesson, ancient times. We talk about the Chinese and all this kind of thing and finish up. But so this is enough of the glory days of Lieutenant Colonel McCormick when he was, I guess, Private McCormick, Sergeant McCormick, those kinds of things. So again, I thought I'd just share with you all some information about jump school. If you join the military, particularly the Army, and they offer you a slot to be a paratrooper, it pays you a little extra money every month, hazardous duty pay. Now I think it's like $125 a month, and it wasn't that much when I was in. But people used to joke that's the difference between driving a like a Chevette, which was a little car, or a Camaro, your car payment or something like that. Get a little extra money, get a little extra pride. The unit will do a lot of PT, with a good fitness kind of thing. But you're also on the kind of tip of the spear, more deployable, because there's some of the forces they come to when things happen around the world. But that's what you sign up for when you join the military. If you want to join the military and you're not thinking so much that way, pick a job, and based on the job is how likely you are to be deployed. Be smart about it. What fits your personality, what you want to do, and those kinds of things. Get the most out of it that you can. All right, well, that's going to end this lesson here, and I'll stop the recording. But I'm going to give, you can watch it again or skip through it. I'm going to give you about a few questions about being a paratrooper and see if you can get them correct, and see what you think. And you can give me some feedback. Shoot me an email or something like that if you liked hearing about this versus the stuff in the textbook all the time, or vice versa. Just keep in touch, and I'll keep in touch with you, and hope everybody's doing well. And stay safe out there, and we look forward to getting you guys back to school as soon as we can there.